Hello and welcome, guys. Leon Street here. So we're back again, and today I'm talking about how to overcome the fear of rejection. And this is for coaches, consultants, and experts. Anybody who has, let's say, an online business and you're selling online, you're marketing online. And in this video, I'm going to talk about some of the things that you, I guess, come across quite commonly when it comes to fear of rejection. And in particular, marketing and sales. And this seems to be a big topic for a lot of the people that I coach and consult with. I just want to shout everybody out over on Instagram, jumping on. And if you have ever experienced, if you're going through, if you want to get over the fear of rejection, please comment below. I've got some steps coming up for things that you can do, what you can act on. And really just for you to think about fear of rejection in a different way, so that you can use it to actually propel you forward in your business and take things to the next level. So as always, guys, if you're not following me already, especially over on Instagram, please do give me a follow. There's lots of great videos that I put out, and I do stream twice a week on a Wednesday and Sunday morning, as we are today, talking about different aspects of running your coaching or consulting business, marketing, sales, mindset, and general, stuff behind the scenes that a lot of people don't speak about. For those of you over on YouTube, please do make sure you subscribe to the channel. Just head on over to leonstreet.com/YouTube and hit the subscribe button. So let's get into this. I'm going to start with a quote from Henry Rollins. First of all, we all learn lessons in life. Some stick, some don't. I have always learned more from rejection and failure than from acceptance and success. And that's from Henry Rollins. And we're starting today by looking at fear of rejection. And for me, that quote kind of sums up what it means in terms of getting over the fear of rejection. You learn more from failure and you learn more from rejection about what you need to change, about what you need to adapt to in your business and to you personally. And I feel a lot of people forget this. And quite often when we're in a pressured situation where we have to pay, for mortgages, rents, bills, different responsibilities that we have as adult human beings, that a lot of the times the pressures that we get with rejection, especially in business, obviously you can have different rejection when it comes to relationships and other things. And that's a whole nother kettle of fish that right now I don't have time for that in this live stream today. We're talking specifically around fear of rejection in business. But, if we wanted to go there, the reality is that a lot of rejection comes from your personal reality, your personality. It comes from your belief system. It comes from the things that, unfortunately, you fear. And you fear because these are learned behaviors that have built up from you as a child. And getting over rejection and getting over it through failure and getting to a point of actually finding success because you get over the fear of rejection, you get over the fears that are innate inside of you. This is where you find true success. But a lot of people, they don't know how. And so I'm going to give you some steps on how in a moment. First of all, I want to look at, I guess, just digging a bit deeper. Remember, guys, if you're following me over here on Instagram, we are streaming live on YouTube, and there's a screen share as well, which we've got on screen. Let me just show you briefly, just for those of you who are watching live and on the replays. You can see here we're screen sharing. So if you do want to get some of the behind the scenes stuff and the things that I am sharing, you can go over onto YouTube. Just click on my bio link for those of you on Instagram and go to YouTube. So let me just continue. Rejection in growing your business can be tough. There's no doubt about it. And I often find that this is probably one of the biggest fears that a lot of people get into. I'll give you some quick examples. I have examples. How you doing, Jenny? Thanks for jumping on. Examples of clients where they won't promote their own business on their personal profiles on social media for fear of being rejected or for fear of what other people will say about what they're doing in their career. They won't put a link or information about their business on their personal profile on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. Even they'll have limited information they'll put on LinkedIn. And for most of you, if you've used LinkedIn, you'll know that actually that's probably one of the places where you need to shout about what it is that you do in business. And then other people who won't put themselves out on YouTube. And so you start looking at this, and not only is it, a fear to put themselves out there, because that's what a lot of people usually say when I'm speaking to them and helping them with marketing, is Leon, I'm fearful of putting myself out there. And then when I ask the question, why, what will happen? And a lot of the times it's just a personal insecurity. It isn't the fact that somebody's going to see you out there and going to slap you in your face. Well, they can't anyway, because it's digital. But a lot of the times it's a fear of what will happen, what will people think of me. And when you start looking at these emotions, and if you've ever done any work on personal development and going through, I guess, the behaviors that you have unconsciously, subconsciously, and looking at what childhood trauma perhaps you've been through. And obviously, if you've never touched on the subject of childhood trauma, it doesn't always mean don't worry, Sarah, I'm not going to slap you in the face across the video. So if ever you've come across things like childhood trauma, you'll know that it can be something almost insignificant, but it just meant a lot to you as a child, or it can be something, much worse. When I say something insignificant, it could be that when you were a kid, your parent didn't give you that toy that you wanted while you were in the toy store, right? Because your parents just took you there just to have a look at the toys, and then they were off to do some shopping, and you really wanted that toy. They didn't buy you the toy, so you feel a bit rejected, like you were not given the opportunity to have that toy. But these types of instances, they spiral out of control when you approach and become an adult. Because if you've never resolved these traumas, if you've never resolved these programs, these patterns, these learned behaviors, what will happen is you'll start to fear rejection of either getting the very thing that you wanted. So if you think about it, if you were rejected from getting something as a child, whether it was like a toy, if it was something you really wanted to do, whether you wanted to attend a party, or if somebody actually hadn't invited you to a party, something like that as a kid, and so on. These are different forms of rejections, and they can unfortunately create programs in your mind that affect you as an adult. So whether that's, going into business now, whether it's new sales leads, prospects saying no, or existing customers moving on, i.e. rejecting continuing to work with you, this can really be, tough. So let's have a look more at some of these challenges. So as I said, a lot of rejection comes from learnt behavior as a child, and I'm going to break some of this down in a moment and share a couple more stories. When you did something good, you were loved. And when you did something not so good, let's say by your parents or your guardians around you at the time, they usually withdraw, meaning that they're going to, usually tell you not to do that, reprimand, and you're not going to get the love that you're expecting or wanted to have. And therefore, you feel rejection. Another problem, let's say, that we can look at with rejection is whatever you believe about rejection can be your reality unless you change your belief. And that's why I'm saying that unless you've resolved the things that you've gone through as a child where you have experienced rejection, you'll continue to repeat those programs. You'll continue to repeat that learnt behavior. And unfortunately, that can fuel the reality that you experience in business. And I remember this, and I'm going to share a quick story with you guys. For me, the way that I grew up in a more traditional household because I spent a lot of my younger years with my father's parents, my grandparents, and they came from Jamaica. So most of you know already, I'm mixed race. And they had this traditional approach to raising a child and how a child should be. And don't get me wrong, there was a lot of things that worked really well, around discipline and so on and so forth. And, having manners and understanding respect and so on, and just things like that. But there were different aspects and different parts of how I was raised that didn't serve me as an adult and didn't serve me as a business owner. I'll give you a quick one. So when I was younger, one of the key things that I was taught, let's say by parents and grandparents, was wait until you were offered rather than asking for what you want. So it was almost like seen as to be kind of rude for you to over ask for things, right? And so there was a lot of times, let's say there were things, I don't know, a meal, and you eagerly wanted something and you would ask. Well, it was kind of like wait until you're offered type of thing, or somebody had something to give you, cake, sweets, whatever it was. And as a child, you kind of learned to wait and not be, let's say, overzealous and say, hey, can I have that, grandma, granddad, dad, mom, so on and so forth. But in business, that doesn't serve you. And I'll give you a quick example why it didn't serve me. So for instance, in one of my first businesses, where I was owed invoices, I wouldn't chase clients who owed me or hadn't paid me for the services that I'd rendered, because I'd learnt the behavior of wait until I was offered, i.e. wait until the person responds. And so what would happen is I'd create invoices, and the due date would pass, and then I think, oh, let me give them a few days, and then I think, oh, let me give them a week. And before you know it, the person's like over 30 days past the due date, and then I would phone them, and then I'd follow up. And I soon realized, because fortunately I had the proactive nature to hire a business coach at the time. I'm going to get into this, how I got over the beliefs, Suchan, over on Instagram. We'll get into this. But the story that I'm sharing with you here is that what I realized is that I wasn't asking for the money that was owed to me. And my business coach pointed this out to me. And I remember when he shared it with me, and it was almost like an out-of-body experience, because I was like, Leon, like, why are you exhibiting this behavior? Why are you allowing that to happen? Because I was doing it unconsciously. I wasn't doing it proactively, consciously, right? And unfortunately, all of us human beings, we all have these different traumas, these different programs that don't serve us, these different things that we learned them and thought, oh, that's how the world is. But that's not the reality of how the world is, because the world is how we experience it daily. And what we have to do is understand what programs are allowing us to get the things that we want, and what programs actually are holding us back. And for me, this is where fear of rejection comes in, because a lot of the time we learn rejection as a child. We don't necessarily learn it new as an adult, because we've already experienced it for all the formative years that we've had, going from adolescence to teenage years and so on and so forth. And when you think about business, there's a lot of things related to fear of rejection that it's from our childhood. And therefore, when you look at your business and you're like, I'm not quite where I want to be. And so there you think, right, let me start to put a marketing strategy in place. Let me look at how I deliver services. Let me look at how I sell to people and onboard new clients. And there's different aspects that start to pop up. So the thing is, you'll be rejected for selling to people. You'll be rejected for having high prices. You'll be rejected for the content that you put out. You'll be rejected in so many different ways. But the reality is that everybody who's rejecting you, or is it a small portion? Is it a small segment of, let's say, the hundreds or thousands of people that you will come across in your lifetime? For some of you, that may be hundreds of thousands of millions, right? Depending on how big your brand grows. But how do you overcome this fear? Well, I've got a few steps, just very simple, that I believe you guys can, take on board. And I kind of gave you a clue a moment ago. How many people really reject you, and what are the consequences? Now, if you look at where you are in your business and you're not quite where you want to be, this is a really good exercise. Look at how many people you have actually been rejected by in the past year. Yeah, even if it's a guess, like just have an estimate. Yeah, and then compare that to the number of people that you've actually come across, and what you'll start to see is usually that number is almost insignificant. You're usually talking like less than, it could be less than 10%. And when I say rejected, I mean hard rejected to the point where you couldn't control your emotions, and you felt sad, you felt unhappy, you felt, let's say, unloved. Yeah, and I'm guessing, but I'm sure it's the same for you guys, that it's just a very insignificant number. And this is the reality, is that we take that 1%, or even less than 1% for some people, and we make that the biggest thing in the world. We make that almost like that's the 99% of what we're expecting in life, and therefore that's what we get, right? But the reality is, rejection, a lot of the times, it's an insignificant number. But because it's not good, we don't feel loved, and we don't feel appreciated, respected, whatever it is that, you feel when you are rejected. It's because it doesn't make us feel good. Yeah. And that's why we fear it. And that's why we don't want to experience it, because who wants to experience being unloved, or, not being accepted, that kind of stuff. And therefore the fear of rejection becomes real. And unfortunately, as I shared with you a moment ago, there's a lot of problems that come from that. Not asking for sales, not asking for your invoices to be paid, not speaking to people, not putting your content out there, not sharing your true gift as a business owner, as a coach, as a consultant, not, delivering the webinar, not putting out the video you said you were going to put out, and especially if you've only said it to yourself and therefore you're accountable to nobody else. Not writing that book. Some of you have got a book in you. Some of you want to write that book, but you're fearful of, well, what if I put it out? What will people think of it? What if they don't think it's good? And there's so many different scenarios where fear of rejection, unfortunately, rules the life of a lot of business owners. But as I said, look at this first step here. Usually that number of people rejecting you is less than 1%. How many people never reject you? Yeah. Focus on that. And when I say that, I mean the people who you've got no emotional attachment to and you don't feel unloved, you don't feel like, oh, I've been deeply rejected. It's almost like insignificant. And that's the reality of life. A lot of the times you're going to find there's not many people that actually reject you in such a powerful way. And here's the other thing in business. When it comes to rejection, no is normal. It's a choice. Remember, people don't have to say yes. And when they say no, it doesn't mean, as I said earlier, they said no and slapped you down the digital airwaves. Yeah. You're not going to get a 0 and 1 slap. No, it's just that it's okay. It might not be the right time for people to buy from you. It might not be the right time for people to hear your message, to see that video, to come on board the coaching program. There's a lot of times I have people who reach out to me and it's just not the right time. They don't have the money. They're in the wrong situation, or they're with another coach. And when they're with another coach, I say to them, finish the coaching that you're doing, because there's no point in getting, two different opposing views or different views and you've not gotten the result that you've already signed up for. I get people who are qualified, they are right for me, and they just don't buy because we don't click or there's not a fit. And sometimes I reject people who want to work with me. It's because, everything you could say, like the money's right, there could be the type of person, but let's say their values or their approach isn't right. Or it could be just the business, the industry that their business is in. It doesn't fit with what I do. I specialize and work with coaches, consultants, and experts, online business owners. I don't help e-commerce businesses because it's just not my thing. It's not the kind of thing that I do. So rejection can go the other way, but it doesn't mean that it has to be a bad thing. No is normal. And that's what I want you to take on board mostly, guys, that if you are experiencing fear of rejection because of what if, then get a sheet of paper and write down all of the what ifs. What does rejection actually mean to you? And then what is the consequence of that rejection? And a lot of the times when we look at it, it actually doesn't mean anything. And it might be similar to the story I shared with you with me and my business coach, when he pointed out to me that, Leon, you're not asking for the money. You're not chasing up for the money that you are owed. And then when I saw myself for the first time in that particular scenario, I was like, wow. And this is true for a lot of people. We have so many unconscious behaviors and subconscious behaviors that can sabotage us, and they do sabotage us, that we're unaware of, and we think that's how life is, and life is normal, and that's how it will be and should be. It's untrue. And the abilities that we have as a human being with our mind, with our approach, to change is phenomenal, so long as you want change to happen. And so for me, if you want to overcome fear of rejection, start with yourself. Start looking at what rejection is and what it means to you. What will the consequence of that rejection actually mean? Will it stop you for your entire life? And I'm guessing for most of you, no. And that's what I wanted to share. For me, go out there, put out your message, share your message, speak to more people, sell to people, increase your prices. If people say no, that's okay. It's normal. Move on, because you're going to get that one step closer to those people, to those clients who are going to say yes to you. And that's what I want to leave you with, guys. So don't fear rejection. Understand what it is. Understand what it is to you, because it is different to everybody. And that way you'll be more of a success in your business. And don't fear the rejection, because you will get that one step closer to your perfect future clients. So guys, on that note, if you do want help, if you want to grow your business, do remember, just reach out to me. You can comment below this video. You can comment accepted rather than rejected, and I will reach out to you and send you more details on how I actually help my clients to go to 10,000 plus in 60 days. If you want to hit 10,000 a month, that's what I help my clients to do. And I've got lots of great case studies and proof if you're interested. As I said, you can comment accepted or mindset below this video, and I'll send you more details. Just send me a DM or a message right now. If you've enjoyed the content, do remember, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, just go on to YouTube and search for Leon Street and subscribe, or go to leonstreet.com/YouTube and you'll be redirected to my YouTube channel. For those of you on Instagram, just give me a follow if you've enjoyed this content today. And on that note, guys, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, as I'm going to do now. So take care. Bye-bye.